Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Southern Reads podcast, a show where I talk about books and only books and everything book related. And today we have a book review for us today. We are going to be taking a deep dive and look into Matched by Ally Condie. This is going to be our first series on the podcast that we are going to cover. It's a 2010 fall, uh, released in the fall of 2010. It is a young adult dystopian novel, and the book focuses on a society where young people are matched with their life partners at the age of 17. However, when 18-year-old Cassia, who is matched with her best friend Xander, is shocked when another young man named Kai, an acquaintance outcast at her school, is flashed across the screen, Cassie attempts to figure out the source of the mishap. In the end, she finds herself conflicted about whether her match is appropriate for her and whether the society is all that it seems to be. So, this book is basically part one of a three-part trilogy. This is the first book in there, which we are covering today. And I'm excited to really dive into this. This was one of the highly anticipated books when I first started reading again that I was really excited for. So I'm excited to really dive into this. But of course, what I always like to do is I like to give kind of a little overview and a little opinion on the cover. So the cover is basically a solid green that kind of has a ombre. So it has light green and then has dark green and then goes into a lighter green up at the top. The picture shows a woman that's in a glass bubble, has wearing a green dress with her arms on the inner parts of the glass, trying to break free. And the title is in white letters. The A actually kind of looks like the greater than or equal than sign flipped up, and then has the author's name in black. So I really like the cover. It's real pretty. It's basic, but I really do like it. So now we're going to get into the main portion of the podcast, and that is going to be doing a deep dive into the book. So as I always like to say, there will be minor spoilers in here, so if you would like to read the book before listening on, feel free to, but if not, if you just wanna listen to it, if you've read it already, proceed with caution. So before we talk about the main characters and kind of the whole plot, we have to understand the kind of the background in the story. So, Matched actually takes place in a future society simply known as the Society, common name. On the surface, it seems ideal. There's no poverty, no war, no hunger, no unemployment. Everyone has a job, a home. I mean, everything just seems perfect. But in this world, when citizens turn 17, they attend a ceremony called the matching banquet. And there, they are matched with their ideal partner by the society's officials. And it basically is a decision based on decades of data that they have collected. And the society believes it can guarantee the most stable, happy marriages possible. Most people trust them, and that's kind of what the scary part of the book kind of shares. The society actually eliminated choice in favor of optimization. It argues that choice leads to mistakes, pain, divorce, war, and inequality. Right away, we're confronted with a major theme, though, is that is safety worth the loss of freedom? So the book is centered around Cassia Reyes. She is our main protagonist. She's 17 and is now about to attend the banquet where she's going to find her future match. Now, her family is loving. She's very successful in school. She's about to be matched. Life seems predictable and secure. However, at her matching banquet, she discovers she's been paired with her best friend, Xander. Now, this is considered rare in the novel itself, but this is a considered incredibly rare and incredibly lucky experience, she said. Most people are matched with someone from another province. She's thrilled, however. She's finds Xander kind, dependable, funny, and everything a society approved partners should be. Ooh, I had to get something to drink. My voice was kind of going. But anyways, when Cassia views her match data card at home, the screen kind of flickers for a brief second and she sees a different face. And his name is Kai Markham. It's an image that only appears for a split second and then it glitches off. Of course, the officials insist it was a glitch. They tell her Kai is not her match, but the damage had already been done. And so basically, this sets up the whole plot for the book of is the society actually what it is meant meant out to be or made out to be, or is there something fishy going on? So we kind of get into this love triangle trope for the remainder of the book because she is kind of tied between two guys. She has Xander, the golden boy, the safe, approved, predictable, and then Kai, the quiet outsider who's creative, mysterious, not fully trusted by the society. But this triangle isn't just about romance, it kind of features two different futures. See, Xander kind of represents the comfort, compliance, and stability within the system, and Kai actually represents uncertainty, resistance, and emotional depth outside it. Kai is an aberration, meaning he committed an infraction as a child, and because of that, he's no longer eligible to be matched. His future is limited, his job prospects restricted, his life controlled even more tightly than others. Think of it essentially as like, say you did something against the law, you got arrested for something, and you kind of have a ruined reputation or your reputation's kind of damaged. That's essentially what this is. So Kai introduces to Cassia to poetry. She actually does spend some time with her initially for the school hiking activities because that's when she kind of begins to see cracks in the system. But Kai actually introduces her to forbidden poetry and real poetry. Now, in here, they also have a controlled thing about poems. It has a condemned culture down to the 100, where they have 100 songs, poems, paintings, and stories deemed the best of all time, and everything else is eliminated. So they don't get no new art, no new experimentation, messy creativity. It's just a curated archive of the top 100 songs, poems, paintings, and stories that they deemed the best. And through this poetry, Cassia begins to wake up. One thing that I found a little odd was that they have a very restriction on paper. Writing is actually restricted, so that means paper is very rare. Mostly people use tablets and screens that can be monitored. Even handwriting is disappearing. But the poetry survives through memory. Cassia's grandfather plays kind of a key role here. Early in the novel, he chooses to have a final banquet, which is a celebration before he reaches his scheduled death at 80. Yes, even in this society, you don't grow old and decline. You are terminated at 80 to preserve resources and efficiency. And I tell you, this society and this government controls everything. They control every single thing. So it's crazy. So that poem becomes a symbol of rebellion, of individuality, of something not controlled. So one of the more interesting aspects of Matched is that it's a quiet dystopia. Now, when you think of dystopia, you think of Divergent, you think of The Hunger Games, Maze Runner, all these books that have explosions, fights, and all this stuff. This book actually does not have that. The series doesn't technically have a lot of those, but especially in the beginning, there's no explosive revelations, no immediate uprisings, no dramatic arena fights. I mean, it's essentially all internal. Cassia's transformation is subtle and gradual. It begins with the curiosity, then doubt, then desire, then defiance. The novel's pacing mirrors this awakening. It's not action heavy, it's more contemplative, lyrical, almost restrained, just like the world it portrays. Kai is actually fascinating because he represents what the society cannot fully erase. He writes, he remembers, he questions basically everything that people in the society are not allowed to do. Because he's already been marked as flawed, he has less to lose, which makes sense. Kai's existence proves that the society system isn't airtight that glitches happen and mistakes happen. Again, kind of like how normal common world is. There's always glitches and there's always mistakes. And once Cassia sees that imperfection, she can't unsee it. So she also introduces her to physical freedom. So they actually do a lot of running in the hills, riding in the dirt, speaking honestly under open skies. I mean, basically living a whole new life outside of a controlled city. The society controls cities, it controls food and work and death, but it cannot fully control the mountains. And in those mountains, Cassia begins to understand herself. So the ending, without spoiling very too much details, it does kind of end on a cliffhanger while there's 3 books. Kai is actually taken away to another place that we'll talk a lot more in the next episode, and this is kinda when Cassia has to make a choice. So she either has to choose Xander or choose Kai. Now, I will say during this whole book, Kai does play a little bit more of a role. So, it she kinda pursues him, but also has feelings for Xander because he's her best friend. Um, she chooses to try to step outside the boundaries that divide her entire life. The novel closes not with the resolution, but with a possibility, and that's powerful. So the book kind of ends on that note. Now, retrospectively, I thought the book was really great. I loved it. I loved the writing in it. The writing in this book was really, really good. I think the author did a really great job of getting this book together, showing that emotion and setting a scene, and really it had good pacing, there wasn't really any slow parts for me, no slow burns, nothing got boring, it all kind of evenly paced very well. So I give this book 5 stars. This was, shocker, a 5-star book. So MASH is kind of more than a dystopian romance, what most people would think. It's kind of a meditation on freedom, art, memory, and the radical act of choosing for yourself. It reminds us that love is meaningful not because it's optimized, but because it's chosen. And that even in the most controlled environments, the human heart resists being calculated. So, yeah, I highly suggest people to read this book and check this book out. It's very, very well done. I really do enjoy the book itself. I thought it was a really good read. Um, I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on the book as well. So feel free to reach out to me on the socials. So you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Southern Dot Reads. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Noah's Podcast. And as always, feel free to check out the website, noahspodcast.com, to learn more about the show, as well as to find links to all my socials and the website and where the podcast is available. If you like this episode, feel free to reach out to me on all the social media platforms as well. Subscribe to the podcast so you get notified when new episodes come out. Thank you so much to everyone for tuning in today's this episode. I hope you all enjoyed it. Have a great rest of your day. Be safe, and I will catch you in the next installment of Southern Reads, and we will be doing Crossed next. So I'll see you in the next episode of Southern Reads.